people, when approached, are much more likely to give you time than money. If they're not familiar with your organization, time is the thing that they will offer first. And once they're volunteer or help your organization in some way, then they will be much more likely to donate. And so thinking of ways that you can engage people with a time contribution instead of just a monetary contribution is certainly one way to combat that.
Yeah. I mean, statistically, the reason, I mean, when we look at these stats all day, figure out like, well, how do we get people to donate or to give more? Because it's the lowest, because donation and even is a very low form of engagement in terms of the percentage conversion, very, very low. And so slacktivism takes up these other ways that people might not have previously been involved because they didn't know how. So here, I'm just going to retweet this. I've done my good thing for the day. Or I'm going to post this, or I'm going to share an article. And that's sort of this sort of, you know, people are debating, is this a positive thing or is this a negative thing? Yeah. But, you know, from, you know, like, you know, as, you know, also, you know, as you know, the editor of the impact section on the Huffington Post, I feel it's by telling that story, though, people are more apt to share it around with their friends. And what's interesting is that people will give money, specifically, when asked by a friend or family member. They are more inclined to give if specifically they go, listen, this is a cause that I care about, which is why the personal fundraising pages especially during marathons or triathlons are so effective, because people support them because they're running the race for them. They're helping them. They feel a part of that process and collectively. So there becomes these silos of people just helping fundraise, as opposed to, oh, that's interesting. Charity Water is doing this initiative. I think I'm going to click on that link and give them my money. It's a much harder thing to do versus people that you've engaged initially to go out and ask other people to help.
Charity Water has done it really well in terms of not just saying, hey, donate, but saying, it's your birthday, so for your birthday, you know, and so it makes it, even though it's an organization now, and a charity, they get those individual stories more often. It's not just a once-a-year marathon. People are having birthdays all the time.
Right, which is what they use it effectively versus other organizations that are just like, listen, we need money. Everyone needs money right now. If anything, it's getting a lot worse. You're going to see a consolidation of a lot of nonprofits in the space because of donations will go down around 30%. So this is where people now have to come together and be able to help each other in ways where it's not a strict donation, but it's an in-kind or, you know, or skill set or other ways to be able to establish best practices, so that these nonprofits are able to effectively run these campaigns as opposed to putting more noise into the cloud.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. We've already kind of covered how story helps that, you know, that process along. The other thing that I want to point out is we get asked this question all the time by nonprofits, and again, the things that used to work and the things that work offline are the things that work online. So not just story, but having a real appeal, having a real call to action, knowing your metrics. That's the other thing Charity Water does really well, is they can say X dollars equals Y wells.
Making a comparison, you're saying, like metaphor.
Yeah, being able to metric what you're doing is you know, gives a lot of impact to your message. And so that's the way to differentiate, I think, is to not just tell the story, but also provide really hard examples of what change they can bring with their dollars. And then finally, just to the slacktivism things, that's where we started.
Yeah.
It's useful to identify your audience, right? So I would not, we run a lot of campaigns that are such and such brand will give $1 per tweet to charity or $1 per engagement or something like that. And yeah, a lot of that is just, you know, you're clicking a button and you're driving $1. Is that really worthwhile? It is if that charity is then harvesting the data underneath, so that the charity is actually understanding where their base of support is and can reach back out to those people. That's the way to craft that campaign, so that you're actually at the top of the funnel, and then you work your way down with more specific messaging and more personal outreach.
I just want to chime in real quickly that I think what you said is really important, is that what works offline also works online, and that it's not a whole other, you know, it's that I think that is really important, because it's again, these tools become more effective to be able to take that message to the people in a way that's it's easier. And I think what's great about that is people want to be social. You know what I mean? So very randomly, are you going to get a video? Like I love when people are like, hey, can you give us a viral video?
Yes,
Sure. Let me serve one up with 3 million plays.
It's a video where you sneeze.
Exactly. You know, or here's a cat. You know, so I think it's being able to really, again, having that, that what the organization is doing that's compelling to be able to convey that message, because people are social, and that's really what they want to do is connect with other like-minded people. So I think it's a very important point that you.
Hot topic.
Yeah, well, just empirical data for you. Kiva did some A/B testing, right? Has anybody here heard of